does seem to be, from some corners, criticism of Marvin for how we got in the spot where our general fund is $160,000 in debt, or in the red. This city, about 5 years ago, was put in a position where he had to create a full-time paid fire department overnight. It was external forces. He put it together in about 2 weeks. He somehow found $1 million and stripped everything else to the bone to do it. And that was something that we did not normally have. And so at that point, we added, I think, 9 new employees, full-time employees at least. 12 at that point. And then at that point, it was 9. Right, and then we've also added to have a 4th person on each shift, which leads to all of us being safer. So we had a massive new thing added that was only then going to grow, and that's just the nature of particularly involving employees. So it has led to budgets that are deeper in the red than we would like. However, EDC, every time we have asked, like we did to go towards Marvin's salary or some other things, there's either been a rejection or we just get a portion of it. This year we're supposed to be in the red by about $99,000. We should be in the black within 2 years, right? But that does not take into account that all it's accounting for in that 5-year plan is 3% raises for the employees. So where we are, and council did step up, and council got the employee salaries in a much more realistic range this past summer. But at the same time, we are still starting officers off about $1,000 less than Sansom Park. And so whenever we're looking at upping that just by 3% every year, we're still going to wind up in the exact same boat we were in, where in 5 or 6 years, we're going to be lagging behind everybody. And we've got to get out in front of that. We've got to be able to pay, particularly our police officers, because that's been such a strain. And we need to attract and we need to retain. And this is a good place to be a police officer. It's a good community, a good culture. And yet it winds up being difficult for us because we're just being outspent. We also need to address the physical, the building end of the police department. Obviously, the fire department, by transitioning to full-time and paid, has undergone some extensive renovations next door, and the police department still needs that. The police department still needs more room, whether that's extending into this building and moving different services around, whether that's moving some things into the annex where the old library was. Those are going to be issues that we have to address sooner than later. And right now, we just don't have the money to do that. And that's, again, when he's done as good a job as he has with that budget, that's kind of the nature of, okay, now we added a fire department, now we have to figure out how to take care of it. We do have, let's see, Grumps. It was a $75,000 deal. That's one of the better deals we've ever made, and I give EDC credit for that. I've given Darren a lot of credit for that. We have $500,000 sitting in the bank right now. We do not have the type of commercial inventory to have $500,000 deals, and that's nobody here's fault. That's the fact that we've got old commercial, we don't have big empty pieces of land. So what I would like to see is, I would like to see it as a department, an arm of the city. Whether there's a board kept, I'm good with that either way. I have no preference. I would like to see it budgeted. I would like to see that board get $80,000, $150,000, which I'm not sure how many years we've ever actually spent more than $150,000 on these deals. Usually they are smaller, targeted deals that wind up working for us. So I think that's a positive to keep economic development. But I would like to see it to where that money is freed up, to where we don't wind up as a council having basically emergency meetings like we did last year on what do we do to add some sort of stipends to our officers, because we're so far behind the game. As Marvin mentioned, this is about versatility. It's not about eliminating anything. It's not about stopping economic development from my perspective. It's about making it to where those dollars are versatile and they can be used where the citizens need them while still budgeting for economic development. The only difference would be, if EDC gets its $150,000 and they don't spend it, they can still be budgeted for $150,000 the next year. It just isn't going to roll over and grow and grow and grow. that's really about all I have, and I'm going to turn it over to the council. My thoughts are, as I step away from this chair, I would like to give this council from going and prevent this council from being 99,000 in the red, to go to a budget that's in the black and still have the versatility to address multiple issues and still provide a budget for economic development. So that's where I stand. I'm now going to, we usually start on John's end. I would kind of like to go one at a time amongst us. So Dan, if you'll start us out.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a little history since we brought up. The EDC was started in the mid-90s, as I understand it, and it was put to the voters, and it passed overwhelmingly from what I remember. I was working at the police department at the time, but I think it was up in 80% or higher that passed. And to start with, let me tell you what the mission statement for the River Oaks Economic Development Corporation is: to improve quality of life for the citizens of River Oaks by attracting new businesses, expanding or retaining existing businesses, and strategically investing in projects that support business development in the city of River Oaks. EDC is not the problem. It's been one of the solutions to funding for the city and increasing our sales tax by 42% in just the last 4 years. That's the money that we receive. Our sales tax now, as I call it, 8.25% sales tax. The city, or the state gets 6.25%. The city gets 2%, and out of that 2%, 1% actually goes to the city, 50%, or half sales of that remaining 1% goes to EDC, and the other half goes to crime district. And to address what you said a while ago, Mayor, at our last meeting on EDC, an agenda item was to consider a part-time employee turning into a full-time employee for the community center. This employee salary was budgeted out of the general fund to start the budget October 1. The employee was hired as a part-time employee and acknowledged that. Later, that employee discovered that he could work full-time and still draw his Social Security, and then requested full-time status. The directors were at the meeting, the directors of the community center, and were asked if his services were needed on the days that they were closed during the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Their answer was no, along with the Public Works Director. This employee was hired to work at the center when open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we, at part of the 7-member EDC board, thought, why add to the payroll for somebody if the part-time employee was doing the duty that he was hired for? Why increase that? So with that, we've had plenty of dilapidated buildings along the boulevard. EDC worked with new owners to bring in sales-producing businesses that added tax revenue to the city and cleaned up those eyesores. We put nice entrance signs on 4 entrances to the city. We worked with existing businesses through the big grants to improve their outward appearances. We funded special events that brought our citizens and visitors to our city. EDC funded having a limited bus service return, as well as providing the MITs for those with disabilities. Real estate was purchased upon the advice of consultants for future use. The attorney fees and consultant fees were paid out of EDC to help promote and improve our city. This and many other services were provided by EDC, all while managing the funds allotted to us and maintaining the surplus balance for future needs. And I might add, we all know that eventually, one of these days, 183 is going to be redeveloped by TxDOT. And they're going to be probably, the state's going to be paying the lion's share of that, but some of that land is going to be taken in, from what we understand, that they might deed back to the city. And the city's going to need money to put in probably sidewalks, parking, lighting, that. Yes, we do have the TERS, but that